So I ended by talking about the difference between central and peripheral prophets. Dr. Judy Fentress Williams, of course, could break all this down for you. But the central prophet was a prophet appointed and assigned to help the leader, the particular political chieftain, discern the direction of his or her administration, and to help them negotiate business, to be a counselor, to help them understand the nature of the task at hand. The peripheral prophet was the one outside calling judgment on the process itself of trying to exert political, social, economic, but especially religious pressure against a particular leader, not because they hated the leader, but because the leader needs to be held accountable like anybody else. In America, you got the Supreme Court, one level, right? The judicial. Then you got Congress, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. And you got the executive with the president, because they all in tension, because you don't want to give one person all the power. That's the theoretical assignment, at least, in our culture. So a central prophet was a prophet whose existence was driven in part by trying to shape policy, shape the organization of government, and to shape the particular response of the leader in the midst of exercising his legitimate authority. That's a prophet too. So that when Sharpton goes to the White House, or when King went to the White House, or when A. Philip Randolph went to the White House, or when Mary McLeod Bethune went to the White House, or when Dorothy Height went to the White House, they are attempting to shape public policy and to understand the nature and condition of distributing goods and resources. In this case, what we're concerned about is, of course, the broader America, but African American people, unapologetically, right? Because everybody got their interests. And we seem to think that exercising our interests is problematic. Right? Black folk, the only folk, because that's what we do with Obama. No, don't be asking none. He got so many people. Well, okay. But you people too. So how come you ain't asking nothing? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, but the person or group or constituent who makes the demands, legitimate demands. Now, we ain't talking about crazy stuff. Like, can you come by and fix my washer and dryer? Right? Legitimate demands. Central prophets and peripheral prophets. Peripheral prophets have a role to play in making arguments about the failure of democracy when Jesse Jackson is criticizing Ronald Reagan, or standing outside the White House with a protest against certain policies of even Bill Clinton, his friend. It's business, not personal, right? So black leaders as prophets. Now, a lot more people think they're prophets than are. I'm going to prophesy to you. You're scaring me. Self-anointing does not a prophet make, right? Everybody and their mama a prophet, right? I'm Prophet Bildungsroman. I'm Prophet Jones. I'm Prophet, so everybody's a prophet. And this is part of the problem with when people say God told them stuff. Really, though. I remember I was a young pastor, and I was standing in while Dr. Riggins Earl, now a professor at ITC, was on sabbatical at Harvard for a year. So he heard me on the radio preaching. I was like 79, 80. So he had me pastor the church, and some guy came to church and said the Lord told him that he should preach that morning. Now, what am I going to do with that? I ain't saying God didn't tell you, but God could have told me too. You know what I'm saying? Because if God just told you and didn't tell me, and I'm the one supposed to be in charge, at least for right now, seems like God could have told me too. And if God didn't tell me, what that mean? You see what I'm saying? People say, the Lord told me. Slow, really? So we got to have some empirical proof. We're all from Missouri. Show me. Right? Now, we know ultimately our faith doesn't stand in judgment of rationality, that there are supernatural and supra-rational justifications for particular actions. I get all that. But I'm talking about on the real for real. What you going to do when somebody telling you God told them that? Got to be some tests. Got to be some ways of checking it out. It ain't like you can go down to Mako, or put the car up on there and see if the air pressure, if Tom Brady has let the air out of the balls. Yeah, that you can check. I hope them Seahawks whip that behind. Huh? Because Richard Sherman is a prophet. All these Negroes calling themselves Richard Sherman be talking prophecy. Because he go right to the source. He's central and peripheral at the same time. He in the NFL, but he be clowning them right there, speaking his mind. Right? So many celebrities, God bless them, they ain't got a clue. And if they do, they're worried about the bottom line in their record deal. Right? So, central, peripheral prophets. People whose belief is that their relationship to authority is to assist it to do its best job, and those who are challenging that authority. Some people are both. King started as a central prophet. Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson. Now he's putting pressure on them. Now, Mr. President, right? He's putting pressure on them. Andrew Young, Walter Fauntroy, right? Putting pressure. Mary McLeod Bethune, putting pressure. But within, not trying to hate you, not trying to deny your legitimate authority, just trying to encourage you. That's your job, that's your role. Some people's role is to stand outside. That's why I talked about Al Sharpton. People talking about now Al Sharpton came out from the cold, the spy who came in from the cold. He was outside, far outside, real outside. Most Negroes was, oh my God, oh Lord, is this our representative? And then the stone that the builders rejected. See, they were clowning Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton was getting clowned even by legitimate Negro authorities and leaders who didn't see him measuring up to the aesthetic demand of appropriate etiquette and protocol and representation. And then they fell one by one. Jesse Jackson wanted to slice Obama's seminal future. Other people fell out. The last man standing was the guy with the perm. Permanent vision, permanent intensity, permanent intelligence, and permanent relevance. So you look around, and Sharpton and Obama, what an odd couple. But there he is. The people who tried to keep Sharpton out now have to at least acknowledge him and ask him if he can hook them up with a visit. So leaders have particular roles. Prophets have roles to play. The historic relationship of the White House to black people has been interesting. Black people have seen the acquisition of the White House as the ultimate Rubicon we must cross, right? And even though it seems heaven sent, we're not ready for a black president. That's Tupac Shakur. As many of my white brothers and sisters tell me, I listen to Tupac all the time. While I'm trying to get my six-pack, I do. Tupac Shakur, it's my man. And Langston Hughes, by what is sent others is not sent to us, talked about the lack of a black president. People don't want to acknowledge a black president because that was the Rubicon we had to cross. That was the Holy Grail. That was the ultimate gift. That was the prize. If black people could ever be president, what we didn't think about is what kind of Negro could successfully become president. So we were thinking about it, a president who was black, and even Martin Luther King Jr. said in 40 years now, we'll have a president. John F. Kennedy's little brother, Robert Kennedy, said, I think before long, even before 40 years, we'll have a black president. And lo and behold, we do. But he grows out of, the reason I spent all that time talking about all that other stuff is to show you the historic trajectory and the historical backdrop against which black leadership takes place, the goals and aspirations, so we don't lose our mind in the midst of the magic. Because when he out of office, what we gonna do? If you suspend, now let's get it straight. The election of Barack Obama was the result of a long gestation period. His birth, as we were pregnant along the journey. Born in 1961 in Hawaii, not in Kenya. As I said last week, I would love for it to ultimately come out that he was born in Kenya. We finally got one over on ya. But he wasn't. Hawaii is different enough for most of us anyways. That part of America, Jesus. Because they cool and laid back. You see it in his, it's not just black cool, it's also Hawaiian sensibility. That's what you're saying. And that's what you needed in the first one. Got to be Jackie Robinson. Now, Jackie wasn't the best ball player. He was the best ball player suited for the task. See, because it wasn't just about hitting singles and hitting for the cycle or knocking a triple. It was about, could you stand the crackerocracy? That is a formal term to denote the lunatic fringe of bigots who operated in the context of American culture under the cloak of authority, trying to deny and to repudiate black humanity. Could you stand the lunatic fringe of bigots who were assaulting black identity, even within baseball, cleating your hand like they tore the fingernails off of Paul Robeson? Soft you, a word or two before you go. I have done the state some service and they know it. Doing Shakespeare, that's Paul Robeson doing Shakespeare. In case you didn't know. Keep your hand on that plow, hold on. Dyson doing Robeson doing that. Paul Robeson, All-American, 1917-18, played professional football as it was known, denied access to Princeton, went to Rutgers, spoke 8 languages. Huh? Here I stand, I can do none other. Right? Tremendous! FBI hounded and haunted and harassed him into mere nothingness, like they did King, like they did Du Bois and many others. And so, when we think about what Obama represents, what the task at hand is, what black leadership has historically meant, then Barack Obama grows out of a long gestation period where we have argued for symbolic and substantive representation. Many of the people who ran for president who were black were symbolic. Shirley Chisholm, right, that we don't often acknowledge. Unbought, unbossed. Unbought, unbossed. Fiery, right? Because that's how God works. All the patriarchy had to recognize the woman, right? And then many people, Laura Filani, Al Sharpton, Carol Moseley Braun, many people have run, but the Reverend Jesse Jackson, the most significant figure, 1984. And for you to understand Jesse Jackson, you know, what you think about Barack Obama now for young people who didn't know Jesse. Tall, articulate, handsome, right? Came into the spot. I remember in 1984, I was a student at Knoxville College, and Reverend Jesse Jackson, on his tour, as he was running for president, came to Knoxville College on a Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, and preached a sermon, an extended crucifixion. Man. And afterward, he gave me his notes. I was like, oh my God. Reverend Jesse Jackson let me touch his paper. He was like, not you, him. But for 4 seconds, I was the man until he mistook me for somebody else. And then that charisma, that authority, that genius, that gut bucket glory that he could use as the country preacher, mama and daddy with complicated domestic history, mama, teen mother, married man next door impregnates her, interrupts the domestic tranquility of that particular neighborhood, the demonization of the mama, and yet the man not held accountable, twice her age, 3115, strange mathematics. Jesse Jackson comes up out of that. He's us in a fundamental, inexplicable, undeniable fashion. What they said about Jack Johnson, inescapable blackness. Can't do nothing with it. There it is. And so Jesse Jackson comes out of that. Like Al Sharpton, who has an even more complicated trajectory. Daddy leaves the house after taking the daughter of the mother who's not his biological as his bride. Or at least Woody Allen ain't started it. Right? Out of that kind of stuff, our black leaders emerge because they've been through the muck and the mire, through the blood and the heartache and the hardship of our own internal prison. And so Barack Obama emerges from Jesse Jackson's run in '84, and in '88, Jesse Jackson got them to change the rules of how delegates were assigned and how much you got. Before him, it was the fact that whoever won, winner takes all. He got them to say, no, it's percentage. If I won so much of the percentage of the vote, I get so many of the delegates. Without that change, Barack Obama would never have become president. So Jesse Jackson is a critical figure, and if all you remember him for is wanting to slice my man's manhood, you're missing the point. A lot of people now, I alluded to this earlier, talk about Reverend Jackson. In one sense, though, as I was speaking to one of your members who worked with the Justice Department, talking about how that big hole in King's neck, when he was murdered, when he was shot on that balcony in Memphis, where his feet began to bicycle through the railing because he had been knocked on his back by a high-powered rifle bullet by an American sniper. Come on. And when they did the autopsy of his body, they said he had the heart of a man who was beyond 60. He was then 39, because the pressure is deep. Give your pastor many vacations. Not M-I-N-I. M-A-N-Y. He ain't paid me to say this yet. Yeah. No extra charge for this. Give the man space to breathe, time to renew his batteries, to recharge. Don't wear him out as you take advantage of the expertise and genius with which God has blessed him. That's all I'm saying, because Negroes, like I said last week, Negroes will kill you. Dr. King posted up at the Hyatt. Negroes mad. Why you at the Hyatt with the white people? Come over here with the Negroes. He came and got killed. Oh, that's ugly. Negroes will kill you. Because their need is so great. Our need is so great. That's why we're so hard on each other. One film got to represent the entire history of film. Well, the film was all right, but it didn't talk about pancakes with butter that we used to. One film, sir. A film cannot encapsulate the entire history. So we're so hard on each other. We're tough on each other. And then sometimes we are so uncritical as to be obsequious to the point of just lack of dignity. So what happens then is that Jesse Jackson, if you remember him only for the slicing manhood comments, you don't remember his majesty. his carrying us forward in 68, 69, 70, 71, arguing with every major intellectual on TV, talking about affirmative action, dealing with the white backlash, dealing with the high-stakes testing, talking about opening up Chrysler and Ford for Negroes, Burger King and McDonald's too, speaking about dispensaries and talking about entrepreneurial activity. Jesse Jackson's genius is so extraordinary, but he did not have the gift of early death to whitewash his flaws. I'm just saying. Because if King had lived, Twitter would have murdered him. Instagram might have killed him. Right? Living under 24 hours, occupation, and surveillance. So what he did was extraordinary. Then emerges this young politician, whippersnapper, community organizer, not activist, community organizer. There's a difference. Activists are grassroots people attempting to right the wrongs historically by giving voice to critical intelligence and powerful interpretations of political injustice. Organizers attempt to, in particular fashion, get the interests of the people expressed with a particular understanding and philosophy about how they should be expressed. So Obama, as an organizer, emerges. People suspicious of him. He's an Ivy League graduate. That's always a reason to be suspicious of Negroes, people think. Where you went to school? One of them Ivy League schools. Although I was out, Dr. Wesley, I was out had to preach out in L.A. See, Lord, we'll keep you humble. So I was out in L.A. I was getting my hair cut in the hood like I do. So I was out there getting my hair cut, and this guy's like, yes, I'm traveling, one of the ministers of the church, I'm traveling with Dr. Dyson, and he's an amazing man, you know him. Oh, yeah, I see him on TV and everything like that. So the guy's cutting my hair, and the guy is so proud of me, he says, he got a PhD from Princeton. So the guy cut my hair and said, yeah, that's one of them black schools in Georgia, ain't it? I promise. I said, yeah, that's what it is. In case you think you riding high. In case you think you the man. One of them black schools in Georgia. Yep, that's where it is. So he gonna run against Bobby Rush. Bobby, Black Panther. Bobby, Black Panther. Breakfast programs aimed toward rehabilitating black people, feeding them. Black Panthers were mostly about that, not carrying guns. Fred Hampton, Jay-Z says, I arrived the day Fred Hampton died, 1969. Jigger. So, Fred Hampton, murdered, assassinated, some would argue, by the police department. We've had problems with police who we respect and love and appreciate when they respect and love and appreciate us and recognize our humanity. And so Bobby Rush grew out of that movement, now an ordained minister, now a congressman, and this young whippersnapper had the unabashed temerity to challenge him. Lost huge. Sometimes your failures are your successes. Because had he won Bobby Rush's seat, he wouldn't have been president right now. You see what I'm saying? You got to lose sometimes to win. Michael Jordan, the second best basketball player of all time. Kobe, what's up, Kobe? What's up, B? What's up, Kobe? Yeah, he got a little hurt right now. 17 All-Stars, second all-time. Kareem was first. Slow down. Miss me with the Michael Jordan. So, Michael Jordan said, I succeed so much because I failed so much more. So sometimes God has to fail us into success, right? So Obama failed miserably. Then he's a state senator, right? And people who think he's little Miss Namby-Pamby and we are the world miss the point that when there was a special election in Chicago for the seat of Mel Reynolds, who had been ignominiously and ingloriously deposed, Jesse Jackson Jr. ran for his seat, but another woman who was going to run for his seat first was a state senator So Obama says, I'll put in to become the state senator since she's going to run for Jesse Jackson Jr.'s office. But then, for Mel Reynolds' office, but then when Jesse Jackson got involved, she knew she couldn't win. Name recognition, long donor list. So she said, I'll go back to being a state senator. And Obama was like, not so quick. Usually in Chicago politics, you're supposed to that's how we understand. She was going to run, now she ain't going to run no more. Don't run against her. He said, no, that's not what I want to do. So how gangster is he? He finds out how to challenge her legitimacy as a candidate by challenging the signatures that were put forth to put her on the ballot. And he said, while I'm at it, I'm not only going to get her off the record, I'll wipe everybody else out. And he did. He ran unopposed. I'm not a player, I just crush a lot. Right there, that should tell you, he is not Little Lord Fauntleroy. He's in it to win it. He is a silent assassin. He's a crusher. He's a gangster because he doesn't look like one. Bad boys move in silence. And so Barack Obama rose, got defeated, retreated, retooled, learned to look upstate, not just in the black district, because the black people who complained about him didn't put him in the office, and now he's got to figure out an alternative methodology to become a political representative because he's being doubted by his own people for no good reason, maybe. So Barack Obama retools, figures it out, goes upstate, Springfield, state senator, then by a set of circumstances becomes a U.S. senator, and then, of course, is elected president of the United States of America. And what a happy day. I mean, y'all know where you were. I know where I was. Had, by that time, left the crack house in Florida. Had been going around the country talking about him. And it was such a deep victory, I was delivering the Du Bois lectures at Harvard the next day after he got elected. I was supposed to talk about Jay-Z. I was going to have 3 lectures on Jigga. You know, philosophically dense and literate essays, not just up there talking about his lyrics, but his backdrop, his background, project, culture, and so on. On the spot, I had to change it to Obama. 3 lectures, boom, on Obama, because the magnitude was deep and profound. This man being elected president of the United States of America, number 44. Kick in the door, wave in the 4-4 biggie, right? 4-4. Our first. And so we were naturally defensive of him. Of course, he the first. You know, white people have had 43 presidents. We ain't used to that. Maybe by the 3rd or 4th one, we'd be all, you know, all right, he black, whatever. But we ain't there yet. So black people have enormous pride. Can you imagine? Young, handsome, articulate, mega kilowatt smile, young, beautiful daughters, fine wife, intelligent and brilliant too, the shape of future things to come. Michelle Obama, brilliant, no tea for the fever black woman, South Side of Chicago. Black people knew what that meant. Huh? South Side, right? Because if she be looking at you, I've known her for a few years, that ain't no act, right? You know how your mama be looking at you at church? All nonverbal. Michelle looked like she might break him off any minute. Real nice, appropriate protocol and etiquette, word structure, powerful, great speech maker. They both gonna get paid crazy money after they get out of office, because she can throw down too, make a great speech. And so he was riding in part her blackness, if we gonna tell the truth about it. She was an asset, especially to black folk, because we be going, if he married a woman like that, his pastor was an asset too. If he went to a church like that, with Jeremiah Wright, like that, he must be the man, right? So we gave him all kind of benefit and credit because we knew it was wrong. These people against him, they hate him still. You know, I'm glad Dr. Wesley, he did that little swagalicious moment. I don't have to run. They clapping. His timing is crazy too. He just let it ride a little bit, right? He let it ride a little bit. He says, I don't have to run. And they're like, oh yeah, yeah. He just let it ride a little bit. He said, oh, yeah. Right? Right? Yeah. Because I want them both. Oh yeah, don't let me translate that. I want both. Yeah, that's what he was saying. Y'all seen the Obama translator on Key and Peele? Woo, you know Obama be up there sometime. Oh my God. Oh, I know that's the kind of brother he is. I remember we were campaigning in Cincinnati. My wife was for Hillary, and I was for the winner. Sorry, babe. Obama says, Mike, come over here. Sorry. Before he about to go out and give his speech. He tells the photographer, take a picture of us. He does like this, no lie. He said, now send that to your wife and show her what a real winner looks like. I'm not a player, I just crush a lot. You talk to Obama as an individual person. How you doing, Mr. President? What's up? I'm just trying to represent. That's how he talks. Because he's a real brother. People who question his real brotherness don't know who he is. And so he is a tremendous balancing act. Because we know that whiteness surveils blackness with extreme intensity. 2 or 3 gathered together is not a quorum for holiness. It is a subversive act against the state. Black love for each other is punished. And so Obama is walking a tightrope. Can't look like he hooking Negroes up, because the first thing white folk do is you're hooking Negroes up. Even as white brothers and sisters getting the hookup from him. Even the people against Obama, the Tea Party, what's he talking about? And the birthers, he giving y'all the stove. Y'all got the hookup. Affordable health care is helping a bunch of y'all. Food stamps, what do they call them now? SNAP. 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 Yeah, whatever you call it, give me the food stamps. New York Times cover story says that Americans are now less likely to be critical of food stamps. That's because you're getting more of it because you need it. Because people base their politics in large part on their existential investment in their their particular roots. What happens to you, how you understand, is how you then understand the world. And so Obama has to do a difficult thing. First year bails out the banks. We know George Bush signed the legislation. People keep forgetting that. If you mad Tea Party at how you think he's messing with the economy, start with your man Bush, right? He the one signed all that bailout stuff, right? Obama came along and extended it, $950 billion, whatever he gave. Because the first headline about a Negro president cannot be, banks fail under first Negro president. You can't even finish up your term. Then he bailed out the automobile industry. Huh? Oh no, look at those Republicans. Oh no, you can't do that. Stop giving welfare out. Then he saved them, reconstituted them. Now they're back stronger than ever. He can't get no credit, right? So he saved the financial infrastructure, no credit. Saved in the banks and stuff, saved the automobile industry, and then got health care passed. They've been trying to pass that for 50 years. My man is nice with his. and only had 2 years of a Congress that was hooking him up. Because even then, people say, well, you had a Democratic Congress. There were blue dog Democrats, too. That means they're Republicans in Democrat skin. So he had a lot of hate going on, and still smiling and walking and doing his thing. Black unemployment creeping up. American jobs have been saved under Obama. The health of the economy is stunning for everybody except us. And so Obama has done extraordinarily well despite the hate of the dominant culture. I do mean hate and resistance and opposition. And black people understand that. We get the intense hatred of him for no other reason. The automatic raising of the debt ceiling in America occurs with every president, Democrat or Republican. Ronald Reagan, automatically raised. Jimmy Carter, automatically raised. George H.W. Bush, automatically raised. George W. Bush, automatically raised. Bill Clinton, automatically raised. Come to the Negro, now we're going to have a fight. Now, you can tell me it ain't because he's a Negro. And I can tell you, you tripping. There's a lot of other fancy words we can use. The kind of implicit bias that is the predicate for your revulsion to him. You tripping. You don't like this dude because you don't want a Negro telling you what to do. And again, if you don't dig this man, he ain't like some black people. Right? Who would have just, not only did I win twice, I beat your mama. I told your baby mama she wasn't doing nothing. I gave your daddy a job. And now you hating me? Right? Nice, clean, and genial. Except when it comes to Negroes. Right? Now I'm building my case. You know what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you the contrast between, say, going to Barnard College to give a commencement address to an all-female school, predominantly white, but mixtures of Latino and Latina and African American and other minorities, where you give a commencement address and you exhort them and send them off as you do with a commencement address. This is, you celebrating. This is, you done made it. Thank you, Lordy, cum laude, am laude. But you go to Morehouse, and you got jokes. You got lectures. Now you must stop making excuses. Why didn't you tell the white women that? Right? Now, he says, stop making excuses. Nobody wants to hear them about persistent racism. Well, guess what, dog? It didn't just stop. See, Obama's narrative has been the 60s were bad. That's how he got away with the Jeremiah Wright stuff. It was genius what he did, but look what he did that's problematic. He paralleled in that great race speech, and I got this in my book if you want to read it. It'll be out hopefully later this year, early next year. You can see it. But in that speech, one of the great speeches of an American politician, Obama did a tricky thing. He made a parallel between 60s anger and white people's anger now. Black people were angry because we were getting lynched and hung and oppressed. White folk now mad and resentful because they got a share. I don't know how to tell you. There's a whole lot of big words we could use. Well, there's a kind of ressentiment that is extended because white people now feel that affirmative action is undermining their capacity to engage in legitimate exercise of power. No, you in the sandlot of life, the sandbox of life, and people telling you got to share your toys. So Obama paralleled white resentment of busing and affirmative action to black people's legitimate anger against oppression. See the problem there? I'm literally asking, do you see the problem with paralleling legitimate anger at empirically provable? Empirical is a big word that means what? That which can be falsified or verified through the senses. So the empirical basis for black oppression that we can establish underemployment, extraordinary drag on the economy, the denial of opportunity to black people. That's why the public sphere is so important to us, not the private sphere, because black people got jobs in government because that was supposed to be the least likely to discriminate against black people. That's why a lot of us are in government jobs. And when they're attacking the government, anti-government is anti-Negro at a certain level in terms of the grades that we've been assigned as civil servants in the economy. So when Obama parallels that, he says, Jeremiah Wright, he says, I can explain him, I don't have to agree with him. All right, you're in the church for 20 years, but you just disagree with him. That's why you stayed. You disagree with him, fundamentally, which is why you stayed for 20 years. Now, pastors can say stuff that their members don't like. Not their members, they members don't like. But they understand the bigger picture. I might disagree with Reverend Dr. John Howard Wesley every 5th year about something minor, because he's mostly right. He brings in Dyson, I disagree with that nigga every 5 minutes. But don't throw me out. Challenge me. Engage me. Let's talk about it. You disagree with me? I understand that. That's my job, is to be a paid pest, to disagree with myself. And you too. So we engage in a kind of serious, systematic examination of problems. But when you say Jeremiah Wright is part of a 60s generation, I understand that was angry, as if there ain't no reason to be angry now. As if everything is peachy keen, as if it's all good. The parallel is problematic. It's a false equivalence, and Obama has done that time and time again. So now he goes to Morehouse and tells those young students about behaving right. They obviously did. They're graduating, dog. Don't tell me about not making no excuses. They didn't. They got a degree. And when he talks about getting something you didn't earn, you're the only person that day didn't earn a degree. Honorary doctorate, right? So the problem with our president is that he has gone to black people. Let me tell you what. I met with him in the Roosevelt room with a group of so-called Negro leaders. We was there, we was there. Got tense. We weren't supposed to talk about it, but I'm gonna tell y'all. Sharpton sitting right here, Valerie Jarrett right there, Tom Joyner down the room. Tom Joyner goes, Michael, why are you writing a book about the president in a year he's running for re-election that's going to be negative and criticize him? And because you have such a big presence and voice and people listen to you, you're going to dissuade people from voting for him. You might, imperil his election. I'm saying it like that ain't how he said it. I'm saying, this dude trying to put me on the spot with the president sitting right here. But you got the wrong Negro. I'm not really the one. So I shoot right back at him without wasting a beat. I said, are you Nostradamus? Because I ain't finished my book yet. How you know what it's going to say? Number one. I said, and number two, excuse me, since you Nostradamus, tell me how many books I'm going to sell so I can prepare for the bestseller list. Obama starts laughing because I'm that kind of Negro. Obama jumps in. Yeah, and he's eating my food. I'm not the one, Mr. Obama. So I look him dead in the face and I say, yeah, paid by my taxpayers' money. I said, and based on that, I'm gonna be here next Wednesday. I want some pancakes. Oh, I'm better at that than you, dog. It's what I do for a living. So we go back and forth, and then I tell Obama, I said, look, I disagree with your approach, because I figure I ain't gonna tell you on TV if I can't tell you to your face. And I've been your surrogate twice, dog, so I love you. This ain't no hate. This ain't no big Afro hate. This ain't no television talk show hate. This is Michael Eric Dyson telling you who loves you. I said, Mr. Obama, President, I said, yes, I do disagree with you about the approach. Universal versus targeted. This is the big argument. Obama says a rising tide lifts all boats. I help America, I therefore help Negroes. I said, sir, that doesn't work. Because if it worked, the universal already would have worked. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. So that's already universal, but we had to have a civil rights movement because the universal was not particular to our interests. So we had to argue our way through the particular into the universal. I said, so when you go to this is the analogy I use with him. You can read this in Jonathan Alter's book. He has it there, actually. Obama and His Enemies. And he says that I said to the president, and it's true, that if you go to the hospital, sir, you don't get medicine. If you've got a hangnail, you get aspirin. If you've got diabetes, you get insulin. If you've got cancer, you get chemotherapy. It's targeted. You don't get medicine. You get something specific to the malady you have. And I said, black people are suffering disproportionately. Don't treat us well because we're black. Treat us well because we are American citizens who happen to be black, who deserve your help. Now, Obama says, do you think, now, and I understand his position, he was thinking, do you think these white senators, if I go out here talking about black, I'm talking out of school, but it's y'all. He said, if I go out here saying black, do you think we gonna get, I said, I hear you. I'm not talking about strategy. I'm not talking about methodology. I don't need the commercial, I just want the consequence. You ain't got to broadcast it, just hook it up. Huh? It ain't the dude bragging about how many women he got. It's the one enjoying quietly the affection of reciprocal attention. Man, let me leave that alone. So what I'm saying to you is that the president has a different philosophy, which is legitimate, beautiful. But the problem is he never criticizes white people in public. Now, what? No, look, don't get it wrong. I know he can't. I ain't stupid. You can't go up there, you white people. You trip me out. You're just amazing. You can't do that. But then why do you pick on Negroes? Amen. See, here's the rules. If you can't say nothing against them, don't say nothing against me. But you stay busy. You stay criticizing Negroes. Not only did he do it at Morehouse, which was abominable, and the usually circumspect Mrs. Obama at Bowie State did the same thing. And that was more disappointing than him, because you're from the South Side, you know better than that. So she goes to Bowie State, she says, she says all the right stuff, then she says, black people couldn't be bothered with education. And start talking about us, all we want to be is ballers and rappers. Who you inviting to the White House? Jay-Z and Beyonce. I ain't mad, I like them. I teach a class on one and the other one loves me. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Don't make me show you the video of her kissing me at the concert. Just don't make me do that. I'm just saying. I know it doesn't concern your pastor, but I'm just saying. 72,000 people in Baltimore. Jay-Z gives me £1. That was great. But when Beyonce gracefully gestured toward me, hugged me, and then kissed me, I've not watched it since. Right here. Just saying. I'm just saying. Who you inviting to the White House but ballers and rappers? Right? I ain't mad. But why you mad at young people liking ballers and rappers? When you 15, 16, that's what you want to be. I wanted to be Bob Gibson. I know y'all don't know who Bob Gibson is. Do you? You know Bob Gibson? Raise your hand if you know who Bob Gibson is. All right, you old people. Huh? Bob Gibson struck out 17 batters in the opening game of the 1968 World Series. I wanted to be Bob Gibson. I went down to the sandlot in my ghetto, down there where the weeds are, and I was throwing that ball. I was like, I'm gonna be Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson wasn't even on my team. He was a Negro, pretty and black. You know what I'm saying? Dark chocolate, just ebony ecstasy unfurled in coffee flesh. Huh? Just midnight beautiful. And I wanted to be him because he impacted me. But I grew up because I couldn't pitch no ball. All these people who want to be ball players, you can't play. White folk want to do it too. You act like all they want to be is Albert Einstein. I teach them. They want to be Peyton Manning. They want to be Tom Brady before the deflation. Right? So my point is, why needle and criticize black people without understanding the context within which it occurs? And then Obama goes before the 50th anniversary of the civil rights movement, the March on Washington, President Carter, who's been more radical out of office than he was in. Just amazing. Just teaches us a lesson that you can't say a lot when you're in there. Bill Clinton. But then Obama gets up and he starts lecturing Negroes about how we've lost history and what we've done. On the day we should be celebrating, there is some impulse in him, because he ain't really speaking to us, he's speaking to white America to show that he can be critical of us. Now, let me tell you this. There is a tradition of black organic conservatism where black people hold each other accountable. We do it every day. You come to black churches, we say, don't tell me about the white man. Let me tell you what you doing that's messed up. That's our tradition. I was at Oprah's home in Santa Barbara with the president. I don't know if I shared this with you last week. This is when he was running, 2007. He wasn't the president then. Me, him, and Chris Rock. Chris Rock put us in a corner. And he said, he told Obama, he said, my daddy told me you can't beat white people, but you got to knock them out. He told the story of Jerry Clooney, the white boxer, and Larry Holmes, the black boxer. He said Larry Holmes was beating him to death. But then he knocked him out in the 11th round. He said they went to the scorecards just to see what it was. He said Jerry Clooney was ahead. And he told Obama, I saw it myself. I heard it with my own ears. He says, you can't beat white people. You can't outpoint them. You got to knock them out. Right? So Obama likes to quote Chris Rock. And he says, you know, as Chris Rock says, black people always want to get credit for stuff they should be doing. I take care of my kids. He said, you idiot, you should be taking care of your kids, because that's what you're supposed to do. So Obama quotes that part, but he doesn't quote the other part where Chris Rock is speaking about holding white people accountable. Mr. Obama can never do that in public, but when he gives expression to criticism of black people out of context, he makes it look as if we are the only party responsible for racial reality in America, and B, as if we are the only group that has problems internal to our culture that need to be addressed, and C, he lets white America off the hook for the systemic injuries done to black people, and D, he does to us what they do to him, un-Americanize and uncitizen him. The birthers challenge him. And Obama, by constantly reinforcing the negative perception of black people, reinforces the belief that black people are the major part of the problem. So that when he comes to police brutality in Ferguson, what does he do? After Trayvon Martin, if I had a son, he'd be like me, they went crazy on him. He can't even identify with a young black man. But then when he was forced after the Zimmerman verdict, he stepped forward and gave a beautiful statement to try to help America understand the problem. But after Ferguson, what did he do? He stepped forward and he said, black people who commit crime should be held accountable and go to jail. Are you tone deaf? Do you not understand it is the unequal access to justice that has led to protests where police have routinely murdered unarmed young men and women? We know you can't speak out against the police. After the Skip Gates situation, you ain't doing nothing. Because how dare a black man weigh in on the intelligence of a white man? That's the real problem. He said he was acting stupidly. Even if you're the president, you can't call no white man stupid. So part of the response was an unconscious rebellion against Obama nominating their intelligence, doing to them what they have historically done to us. But he cannot be seen as the captain of American empire and the state turning against a law enforcer. So now we understand Obama can't do that. We don't expect you to come out and say the police are racist. We can't do that. But what you can do is say the following. It is not right for police people to routinely murder unarmed people in America where they should be protecting and serving them. Don't weigh in on the Michael Brown case. Don't weigh in on the Eric Garner case. Weigh in on the general assertion that it is wrong. Obama acts as if he is a spectator to his own presidency, that he cannot exercise his own power. And when you look at his statements in the aftermath of Ferguson the first time and the second time even more so, it is an abysmal refusal to represent the interest of all American citizens. Here is another insult delivered so powerfully and poignantly. Mr. Obama says, I'm not the president, he says, to black enterprise of black America. I'm the president of the United States of America. Oh my God, we did not know that. We thought you were the president of the NAACP. He goes, and I saw this, a day after we met him in the White House. When he goes to the Congressional Black Caucus, he says, take your bedroom slippers off and put on your marching shoes. Stop complaining. Stop belly aching. Stop talking about black high unemployment and what I'm not doing, and join me in the progress toward my reelection. That is one of the most deeply and profoundly problematic and dangerous statements made by a president of any color to a Congressional Black Caucus whose sworn obligation is to uphold the interests of its constituents. And Obama was basically saying, reminding John Lewis, without whose body being whipped and beat, you would not be president. Maxine Waters, who when you were knee-high to a tadpole was engaged in serious work. John Conyers, the only man to be endorsed by Martin Luther King Jr., the only person for congressional office, for political office, to be endorsed by the man himself. You are speaking to heroes who have historically carried the weight of black enfranchisement, of arguing against white supremacy and for social injustice, who for the most part have refused and refrained in public from criticizing you. And now, with discourteous and disrespectful chagrin, you aim your venom toward the people in your own group whom you refuse to represent, but you relentlessly criticize, knowing that they will not return fire. Black protectionism is understandable but lamentable. At the end of the day, when Hillary Clinton is president, you have no leg to stand on, because for this president, you refuse to press your case. We cannot exempt President Obama, because he's black, from representing the interests of African American people. I'm not stupid. I understand how our interests are involved with Obama, even beyond what he does for us. Just showing up as a black man every day to do his job is unavoidably symbolic of the plight and predicament of black people. We know that. But what we also know is that he is lending his bully pulpit to the erosion of black enfranchisement and the refusal to acknowledge the centrality of legitimate black resistance. Does he have a black attorney general who represents? Of course. And that attorney general has said, I am both the attorney general and a black man. Not saying something that most people don't understand already, but reinforcing the value of that particular identity, because he reinforces an implicit bond to people whose lives are being assaulted by the very police over which the judicial system, and in particular the Justice Department, has provenance. He is saying at the same time, we identify with those who are vulnerable and who are victims, even as we uphold the necessity for duly sworn officers of the law to exercise their responsibility. So, my friends, Barack Obama is an extraordinary human being, unfairly and unjustly victimized by forces in the dominant culture that make us protect him and love him. We are not saying that is not true or real. We are saying it should be reciprocal. When black people say we can't ask him for nothing, gay and lesbian and transgendered and bisexual folk didn't feel that way, and he done hooked them up. They said, we want more, and they got more. The environmentalists who argued against Obama got more concessions. That's why he ain't gonna sign the Pipestone deal, the XL, right? And the bridge to nowhere. This is why he did that. Even with Latinos, whom he's deported, among others, in extraordinary rates, he at least listens and meets with and does not publicly assault. Yes, people in your own group can say stuff about you that nobody else can. That is both their right and their privilege. But it is also their right and privilege to represent those people and to tell the truth about what happens to them and to speak honestly and intelligently in fashions that won't be subversive or revolutionary about the common plight and predicament of citizens of the United States of America who happen to be black. In that sense, we have failed the president as much as the president has failed us. And we cannot long be considered serious citizens if we are not willing to entertain the reality that holding a president accountable does not mean we hate him, but indeed that we love the truth and our people even more. Thank you so very kindly.